G'day guys, it's Leader Pros here from fstoplounge.com, and I'm very excited to be talking with the wonderful Brent Mail from... Where are you from, Brent?
I live on the east coast of Australia, and I run a portrait studio really close to the beach. And you've actually been here, Lee. We had a couple of drinks outside on the
That's
patio.
right, that's exactly right. And it's called Port Stephens, and it's an amazing location. So if you're ever in New South Wales, be sure to go down there because you'll most likely see Brent photographing families, children's pets, doing what he loves doing at his local beach. And I tell you what, this latest story that I came across on his blog just blew me away. I'll just quickly run through it, Brent, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just give you the title and ask you a few questions about it. So you
Okay.
had a family of 10, and you had literally 10 minutes to shoot them in some amazing weather conditions, only a short window. How did you actually come away and actually shoot this massive, epic portrait session so quickly?
Well, normally it takes me, for a family of 10, it probably takes me between 45 minutes to an hour to photograph a family of 10, especially when the kid's involved. And there was one kid, well, three kids, some are a little bit older, but one, maybe he's about, I don't know, 8 or 10 or something. And in summer over here, we get these storms come rolling in from the Hunter Valley. And this was a Saturday. The family, they drive an hour and a half to get here and an hour and a half home. They live in the Hunter Valley, so they're actually driving here in between the storms.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was a Saturday, and that's our big day for photographing families. It was the only day they could all get together because part of the family lives somewhere else. So I was watching the radar to see when I could actually photograph them. I'd already cancelled one shoot and postponed another one for later on in the afternoon. And it just happened that they got lost, or part of the family got lost. We eventually met at the beach about half an hour after they were supposed to be here, or I'd
Right.
actually called them to try and see if I could get them out earlier in between the storms, because I could predict that, with the radar, that the heavy storm was going to hit us in about a half an hour.
Right.
And they got here as the storm was hitting at the beach that I wanted to photograph them at. So we had to go to another beach, 5 minutes drive away, but it's basically the storm was going to hit that beach next. So I knew that I only had a few minutes to photograph this family, and I did it.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I've got a system of photographing families and kids, and I had to rely on that system. If I didn't have that system, there's no way I would have photographed this family and got all the images that I did in the 9 minutes or so that I had to actually photograph them.
Wow. It's pretty impressive, Brent. And if you want to go and check out these photos, go to Brent Mail's blog. I'll put a link under this video on F-Stop Lounge and also in the video description so you can have a look. And how many photos did you end up taking? And another question, did you do much preparation before this shoot to actually get quite a number of photos off from seeing on your blog? There's quite a few there. What sort of preparation did you put yourself through, and what sort of gear did you end up using?
I do like a whole bunch of push-ups and sit-ups and stuff,
Have a beer.
yeah, yeah,
That's why they've got stabilization on lenses, right?
yeah. The only preparation I do, other than just checking my equipment, is getting everyone's names down, I guess, because I'm the worst at remembering names. What's yours name again? Oh, Lee, there it
I
is.
think it's Bill.
Yeah. So what I do, I got this little trick on the top of my flash. I don't know
Right.
if you can see that. I might turn it the right way around and
Can
bring it
sort
up
of
to the
see it.
camera. I
Oh
put
yeah.
I put people's names on there because when I'm photographing, especially a family of 10, there's no way I can remember everyone's names. So I've got it on the top of my flash. So every time I forget someone's name, I just look down. I'm like, oh, that's who it is. And that's probably that and reading their notes. Because I might have met with them maybe a month before or 2 months before at the planning meeting. I won't photograph a family unless they actually come down to my studio and I meet with them first. And we
Right.
run through how I photograph families on the beach, and then I find out all about them and what they want. And
Excellent. Okay, that's very, very important.
these
Yep.
guys wanted a beach shoot. They didn't want a studio shoot. I actually offered it with the way the weather was looking, and they said no, they wanted a beach shoot. So
Wow.
I run through the notes. I get all the names down. I make sure my memory card is formatted and ready to go. I've got enough memory. I've got the batteries are good in my camera and my flash, and I think that's about it.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. And so really the system that you've got in place, that comes from a bit of learning that you sort of teach photographers. From my understanding, I've had a quick look at your blog and stuff, and you were talking about there's a certain sort of system that you put in place to actually prepare yourself for a shoot, you know, when you go and meet a family, so you can actually do a shoot quite quickly. Because most photographers, say if I was out on a location, I might spend an hour, you know, photographing a family, or, you know, up to half an hour. But how are you able to get it down to something like, you know, 9 minutes and 10 minutes and still get some great shots in a situation that's, I suppose, quite rare because of the weather?
Totally, Lee. What I do is, I guess I prioritize. I went through in my head on the drive to 1 Mile Beach, between the two beaches, about the 5-minute drive. I thought, okay, what if I only got 10 images from the shoot? What do they need to be? Which are the most important images for this family? And I guess years of experience of photographing families and selling images to the families has taught me that I kind of know which is the hero shot, and then which is the second hero and third hero shot. And it's normally the group shot, the family group shot all together is the hero shot. So that's the one I went for first. And I use a lot of movement in my beach photography. That's why I love to photograph outdoors, especially when you're photographing kids. You run them, you get kids running and moving, and playing and having fun, and that way
Beautiful.
you get those natural expressions, and they're not sitting there looking all awkward and got that stupid smile on their face.
Yeah.
So I get everyone walking. So I just do the family walk. Everyone's shoulder to shoulder. And I think the very first image in my blog is that one. I spent
It is. Yeah.
probably, out of those 9 minutes or 8 minutes 45 seconds that I actually photographed this family for, I probably spent about 2 minutes on this image, which is
Right.
a quarter of the time. The family, the family walking towards me all together, and I'm shooting them at a very shallow depth of field, so everyone's got to be the same distance from the camera, and everyone needs to be looking up and not looking at their feet, and they need to be looking decent, and also or not, not having bad expressions on their face, and also they need to be reasonably close to each other. You can't have too many gaps in the family, otherwise it separates the family and looks like we've got one family unit and another. So I did that walk. I think I did that walk twice. And in the final image, I didn't mention that in the blog, but I think I used heads and expressions from different images to create one image, because you never get everyone looking in the same direction, smiling at the same time.
Okay, that's sort of a tried technique with a lot of sort of location-based photographers as well. And I suppose because you were sort of stuck on time, it makes it difficult to get everyone sort of doing the thing that you wanted to do, and and still come away with so many shots. And for those people that haven't seen the shots, that may be like, oh, he only spent 8 minutes and 45 seconds on this, the photos don't look good. They actually do look great. And my question to you is, did they end up actually liking them? And did they end up like buying any from you? Because that's at the end of the day, that's how you get paid, right?
And and that's the I suppose that's kind of the key performance indicator for me. Are people willing to put money down and purchase these images and get them framed and printed and put up on their walls? And yes, they did.
Oh, good.
It was one of the probably a above average sale for me. Quite a lot above average sale for me.
Wow. And I suppose for what really was, hang on, if I can work it out, you probably earn, I don't know, per hour, let's say, some enormous amount, I'm sure. I wish I could do that. How do you go about doing that? How do people earn a lot of money, basically, with a short amount of time? what tools can you give them to help them in their photography and their business?
Oh, totally. So I've worked out a system for photographing families and kids outdoors,
Right.
mainly outdoors, and it's my course called How to Photograph Kids Naturally, and I go through I think it's 2.5 hours of video content, and I run through actual photo shoots where I'm actually photographing a real family who's paying me to photograph them, and I record myself, and then I actually talk to the camera and I explain exactly what I'm doing, and that's the course, How to Photograph Kids Naturally course. So I used all those techniques in this photo shoot. I'm not one of those people who teaches because they make money out of teaching.
Right.
I
Yeah.
teach
Yeah.
what I'm actually doing, what's working for me out in the field.
Okay.
So I ran through a
So it's a
couple of
tried technique. Yeah.
yes, and I've refined it over the years. I've tested things. If a family doesn't spend my average or higher, then I've done something wrong, and I go back to what I actually did, and I figure out what I did wrong,
Yeah.
and how I can make this family love the images so much of that they actually want to get them printed and put on their walls.
Yeah. And
So,
sorry, I'll
yep,
just interrupt there.
yep.
A lot of photographers I know, they thoroughly enjoy the photography side, but where they lack their sort of knowledge is on the business side. And I suppose that's where I see you and this sort of the blog post that you did that came into my inbox. I was just like, wow, he's got this system down pat. And if you can actually share some of that knowledge with these people that don't actually have a lot of knowledge on the business side, they can make some incredible amount of money per hour. I mean, I hope, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you earn like per hour from this?
I worked it out on this little card over here because I worked out what my clients invested in their family portraits and how
Right.
much time I actually spent photographing them. So if you take the time that I actually spent photographing them, the
Yeah.
8 minutes and 45 seconds, and then you work out how much they actually invested in their family portraits, it works out to $23,657 an hour.
Oh my goodness, that's absolutely incredible. That I'm blown away by that. Can I sign up, please?
Yeah, totally.
And the thing that I hear that figure and go, wow, that's quite amazing. But you need to look at the end picture. You need to say, the clients were happy with the photos. They're happy to spend that money. Am I right in saying that, or did you
Yes.
just take them to town and say thanks very much? See you later. Is that how your business works?
No, it doesn't. And
Okay.
what I do when people actually pick up their prints is I give them 2 vouchers that they can gift to their friends. So I get a lot of referrals. Actually, most of my business is from people, past customers, referring me to their friends and other relatives. So
That's the sure
no,
sign of
I'm not.
success. Yeah.
I'm not here, like a fly-by-night kind of person
Yeah.
who's a hard sell, and I don't do a hard sell either. I
Yeah.
let people order their images. I don't sell them the images, and I've got a system for that too. It makes it really easy.
Okay. Okay.
I use ProSelect to display the images, to present them to my clients,
Yep.
and it's really easy because all I do is I drive the software, and the client is and they tell me where to go. So I always tell people that I'm the taxi driver or the software driver, but they
Yes.
need to tell me where they want to go. And I
Okay,
show them
that
what I
makes
can
sense.
do on the software, and then they direct me around and add images to the shopping cart at a certain size, a canvas or a art mount or a metallic print or acrylic print or an album. They
Yep.
can see exactly what they're investing, and I always give people a really good deal. They
Excellent.
walk away from
And
my studio happy.
perfect. Perfect. And it's just sort of going back to the shoot, Brent, for a lot of the tech
Yep.
heads out there that have like a portrait business or a
Yeah.
glamour business or anything like that, can you just run me through the gear that you use and your favorite setting that you like
Yep.
to take sort of a standard portrait on?
Definitely. So I call it my F4 rule. So
Right.
most of the photography I do outdoors, I shoot at f4, and I try to
Okay.
keep things simple. If it's bright enough, I shoot at f4. If it's not bright enough, I'll use a shutter speed, but that's normally in the shade for the close-ups. But if I'm outdoors in Australia here, it's normally pretty bright. Everyone's squinting, the sun's out. It's a beautiful day on the beach. I shoot f4, and that's it. just to get that shallow depth of field. And this is the setup I use. I'll move back a little bit so you can
Yeah,
see.
and what camera is it that you've
This
got
is
there?
my camera.
And what camera? Is it a
The
1000D?
5D Mark II, and it's about
No, I'm kidding. It's a
the
5D.
5D. Yeah, yeah, and it's I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. I mean, I don't know how much more life it's got in it. I've probably taken about 1 million photos with it, and I've got my 70 to 200 f4 lens. So I shoot everything wide open at f4, and then the flash on the top. So
now,
that's
when do you use flash apart from reading names on top of it, which is a great idea, by the way?
Yeah, I use it when I'm shooting close-ups. So in the shade, just to fill light in the eyes, catch light in the eyes, and fill in the shadows, especially for people that are my age and a little bit older. It's nice to have a little light in the eyes and get rid of the wrinkles.
Perfect, because you don't need Photoshop for that, right? You can do it in camera.
And I shoot everything as JPEG too. I don't shoot RAW.
Oh, really? Okay, that's really interesting, because a lot of people use shoot RAW. Do you do much sort of touch-up work or Photoshop work?
Yep. We do. We touch up everything. So I've tested this, and I've photographed RAW, and it's an extra step to do. It's extra work which no one is paying you for, because time is money in this business, right?
Right.
So I shoot everything as JPEG, as portrait picture style.
Yep.
Auto white balance, and I get my editor guy to touch everything up that the clients see, and I only show them. I think this family, I just had a look here, I only showed them 28 images from the shoot.
28 images for 23,000 something an hour. That's not too bad.
Yeah, 657 an hour.
Well, I'll make sure that I put that course underneath this video and also on f.land, so people can actually buy it and get some insight into what you do. And you're obviously doing it very successfully. So, guys, I would strongly recommend you get this course, because it's one of those things that you only can learn from, when someone else is doing it successfully. You want to know how they're doing it. So this is how you do it,
and I think, Lee, one of the really good things about this course that maybe people don't know about is I actually give away my price list and my packaging, my different packages that I've got in my pricing structure, and the theory that's actually gone into how I've created my pricing and the packages to get people to just spend a little bit more, invest a little bit more in their family portraits. So I actually give that away. You can download that and use it. I suggest you change the name on the price list, so it's not my business name. Make it your name, and maybe just change it to if it's pounds that you're using or whatever. Change that. But,
and I've just on your site now, Brent, and I've noticed there's you've got like a section of get free photography tips.
Yes.
What do people have to do that? Because you've obviously got some insight into this stuff. You've obviously been doing it a while.
I have.
Yeah.
10 years professionally. And all you have to do is sign up. You just sign up, and I send you a mini course. So I send you an email about every 2 to 3 days with a new lesson. And the great thing about that mini course is it's told in a story format. It's told from a photographer's point of view. A photographer who's learning either landscape photography, or I've got one where a photographer, Sarah, is actually learning how to photograph kids. It's a real story from real photographers who've told them to me, and I've just rewritten it in a kind of a movie version. And I teach within the story their struggle of learning and their successes and the things that they're battling with and how they overcame those.
That sounds exactly what a photographer needs, to be honest. I know if I had a portrait business, I'd be getting that sort of stuff. So, well, I might end it there, Brent. But I just wanted to say thanks very much for joining and just sharing your story, because I saw it on the blog and I was just like, wow, we need to talk about that. That's awesome.
No problem.
Yeah. And
anytime
sorry, go on.
You're welcome to come back over here and have a few glasses of wine with me on the porch and enjoy Port Stephens and move away from the city home that you're in right now.
Absolutely, mate. I can't wait. I know that one of my mates, work colleagues, is actually in Port Stephens right now. He happens to work at a company I work at. So thank you very much for joining, mate, and I can't wait to catch up with you again. And be sure to grab that course down the bottom and also on the video links as well. So thanks very much, Brent, and we'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. See ya.